Okay, well, everybody, welcome to this week's training. Today, we're going to talk about special needs plans. Probably it's going to make up probably about 50% of your business if you're doing your business right. The special needs plans covers a lot of people, a lot of populations. So without diving too deeply into that, we're going to go ahead and get right into the training. We're going to talk about the two different types of plans. We'll go ahead and start with chronic plans. Chronic special needs plans are really plans that are built through Medicare Advantage companies that offer enhanced benefits to people who have specific chronic illnesses. Okay. Now, not every area will have CSNP plans, but the areas that do have chronic special needs plans, you will find that this level of service for the people that qualify for these plans is pretty darn good. Usually they have lots of really rich benefits to their plans. So for example, that you might put somebody on a special needs plan for diabetes, and their diabetic medicine won't have a cost to it. So there's certain features to these plans that are built specifically for these special needs populations of peoples. Now keep in mind that these are special needs plans, so there are qualifiers for people to be able to join these plans. So one of the questions that you're probably going to have is, can we find these on the platform, right? In the Sunfire platform? And the answer is no. You will not be able to find these specific plans inside of the Spark platform. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about how you do that. But that is why we're talking about these plans today specifically, because these populations are a large majority of the clients that you probably are going to encounter working with people with Medicare. With chronic special needs plans, one of the reasons that you can't find them on the Sunfire platform is because there is a form that the doctor has to fill out to verify their specific illness for that plan. And right now, there's just not a way to do that through Sunfire. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Okay, so what are the different qualifications for a chronic special needs plan? It's going to vary by the area that you're in. Some areas will only offer plans for diabetes. Some will offer all kinds of plans. Usually what you'll find is the larger your area is with the, I would say, per capita of Medicare patients in that area, the larger you're going to have for your plan availability. So some areas will not have any plans. Some will only have diabetes. Some will only have heart conditions. Some will have plans for strokes, or you might be in an area that's very rich with Medicare population, and you might have all the above. So understanding what a chronic plan is very important, right? So we'll talk about how to dig into that in just a second, but right now what I want you to capture from this is there are plans out there that are going to be detailed to a special population, right? And that will be people who have certain chronic illnesses, and those chronic illnesses have to be verified by the doctor during enrollment for these people to be signed into these plans. Now, the benefit of putting people onto these plans is that because they are so rich, the chances of another agent somehow getting in contact with your client and putting them into another type of plan is pretty low, because you already put them in the best type of plan for what their issues are. So these plans are very important. The other thing I'll say about these special needs plans is that these plans are offered and available to these members throughout most of the year. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you have a client that needs to enroll in a plan and they're eligible for a chronic plan, even if that plan is not way better in benefits, it might allow you an option to enroll them in a period of time where it's not normally allowed for a normal client. So special needs plans are very important for a lot of different reasons, but most importantly, it's because we want to service our clients the best, right? We want to give them the best benefits. We want to be able to put them into the plans at the time that they need it, and cover the illnesses and conditions that they have that will help them best. Okay, so that's an overview on chronic plans. Let's see if there we go. Now we also, the other type of special needs plan is dual special needs plans. Now dual special needs plans can break into a lot of different variances. So I'm going to be kind of high level on this one today. But basically what a DSNP plan is, which means dual eligible, is that they qualify for some form of Medicaid and they're also a Medicare recipient. So they have two different types of assistance from either they have a state assistance, which is what the Medicaid would be, and then they also have their Medicare in place. So these members are normally going to be on the lower income, unless they have some kind of specific health conditions. And so these are clients that really need to get into a plan that has little to no cost, right? That allows them to see all the doctors they need. And just to give you kind of a little bit of history on that, one of the reasons why these plans were built is because even with Medicare, even with Medicare Advantage, there are costs, right? When you go to a doctor, you go to a specialist, you go to the hospital, there are costs involved. Now, if you're only making a few $100s a month and you have to choose between feeding your family and paying for medicine or paying to go, have this illness treated, you're going to feed your family. And so there is a program in a lot of states where people can go to the emergency room or what have you, and they can rack up a certain dollar amount of bills, and then Medicaid will come in and step in and wipe it out. Well, the problem was people were getting pretty savvy and they were understanding that. And so what they were doing is they were working the system, right? They would come in, they'd say, you know what, I've got a cold, let me go to the ER for that, which is at least a $4,000 bill, right? Get my medicine for free because the ER can't turn me away. And then the rest of the month, Medicaid has me covered. So I can go see this doctor and that doctor and whoever else. And really the only thing that was happening is it was draining the states from their pot of money that was available for everybody, that was going to a select few who figured out how to work the system. So Medicare got smart and said, you know what, we're going to allow for dual special needs. And what that does is it combines Medicaid and Medicare into one plan. And so it reduces or eliminates costs based on their level of Medicaid for almost all of their services. Plus, it gives them dental and a bunch of other benefits that they normally would not have, even if they were working the system. So dual eligible plans are also available most of the year. Actually, 9 months out of the year, you can enroll somebody who is eligible for these plans into these Medicare Advantage plans, which is pretty amazing, because if you think about Medicare, you're going to hear very shortly, if you're not already seeing them on TV, all the commercials, right? You're going to see Humana and United and Cigna and Aetna and whoever else saying, hey, Medicare open enrollments here. You've got from October until December to get your enrollments, and you have to do it during this time. Well, guess what? These special populations between the dual and the chronic needs, they are not locked into just that time frame. So that's why these populations are very important. Along with that, the benefits that are available to these members inside of these plans are going to be a lot richer than a standard plan. So as an agent who's trying to build a book of business, who's trying to get a nice income, trying to make sure that you have nice renewals every year, it's very important to make sure that you put them into the right type of plan to begin with. And so understanding how these plans work will really help you to solidify your business the first time with your clients and keep them underneath your book of business and not at threat from going to another agent. So just like with the chronic plans, not everybody is going to qualify for these plans. And especially when it comes to the dual plans, there are different levels. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in just a second, but just understand that not everybody is going to qualify for these plans. Now, some of these plans are able to be seen when you go into the Sunfire platform, but you might not see all of them. Okay, so just as with I mentioned with the chronic plans, we're going to talk about that a little bit further on in the presentation. So stand by, because I know you guys have a lot of questions on that. Okay, so let's talk about the different levels of assistance that the state or the government provides and how that translates into the special needs plan for the dual eligible. Okay, there is LIS, which is also referred to as extra help. Now that is a benefit that is coming directly from Social Security. If you were to take a client from signing up for original Medicare Part A and B, in their original sign-up packet, there should be a pamphlet in there that talks about people who qualify for extra help and ask them if they want to apply for extra help, right? I normally tell people, unless they're way out of the brackets, go ahead and try. It doesn't hurt you to apply for extra help, because even if you get denied, you just got denied. But if you get accepted, what it is going to do for you is help you. Okay, so Social Security has a program called Extra Help. We as agents will see it as LIS, which is a low income subsidy. Now there are two different levels. There's a full and there's partial. And even in the partial, there's three different levels. And what that does is break down how much the client will have to pay when they go to the pharmacy. So what Extra Help does in the big scheme of things is it assists the client with the cost of their medication. And that's really all that it does. It will help to lower or eliminate any monthly premium that they would have for their Part D, which is their drug coverage. And then when they go to pick up their medicines, it's going to put them into what they call the catastrophic category. So if you guys have had the chance to see my training on page 4, I go into more detail about what that is. But to give you the short version of it today, the catastrophic level is a reduction or a maximum amount that a client would pay when they go to the pharmacy that is much reduced from the standard copay that they would go to the pharmacy and pay. Okay, so that's LIS. Now, LIS doesn't normally qualify you for a dual special needs plan. However, there are in a very few select areas a qualifier for LIS plans to put you into the dual special needs. So I put that into the list here today to not only explain what Extra Help is, but also for those who are in areas where LIS is a qualifier, you understand what that does for you, okay? Now, the rest of the levels that you see there on the right-hand side of the screen, FDBE, QMB plus, QMB, SLMB plus, SLMB, QI1, and QDWI are all tiered levels of state assistance or Medicaid. Okay. Now, FDBE is kind of a special one. FDBE is not something that is normally applied for through the state. Normally that is granted by the state either because someone else, like a hospital or some facility, has applied for a financial need, or because their medical need has reached such a critical point that the state has absorbed them into the Medicaid program. So FDBE, it stands for Full Dual Benefit Eligible, is a very special one. If you come across somebody who has that, that's full Medicaid, right? So what does that mean, full Medicaid? Full Medicaid means that when you look at how Medicare is broken down, and Carol and I will touch on that in just a second. When somebody has full Medicaid and you look at how Part A and Part B is broken down, you look at the cost, the co-pays, the co-insurances, what happens with a full Medicaid is all of those costs are completely absorbed by the state. So they don't have any co-pays, they don't have any premiums, they don't have any co-insurances, and they also would qualify for LIS, which means that they have reduced drug coverage, a reduced cost for their drug coverage. So those members get a lot of benefits at no cost. Now, the equivalent to that does require a financial threshold on their part would be QMB plus. So QMB is a qualified Medicaid beneficiary. The plus means that they're at a certain financial level. And so they will also receive everything at no cost. And you're probably, most of you are probably like Carolyn, who has asked the question, how do you find out if somebody qualifies for the DSNP, right? So inside of the Sunfire, which we're not going to go into that today because we will not have time to go all through that. But inside the Sunfire, when you create that client, you start putting in their demographics, there is an area there for you to check their Medicaid. And you can do that through their Medicare number or through their Social Security number. So if you go through that, it will kick back one of these codes for you and tell you what their level is. So if they're a FDBE, or if they're a QMB plus, Slim B, which is what SLMB is commonly referred to, or a QI1, then you'll know that they have at least some form of Medicaid. And so today we'll try to break down what those different levels are. So FDBE, full dual, QMB plus, and SLMB plus usually are the ones that are going to give the client everything at no cost. Okay, it takes away co-pays, it takes away co-insurances. And so when we talk about Medicare Advantage, we already know that the client doesn't necessarily have to join a Medicare Advantage plan to enjoy these benefits. But what they would encounter if they were to join that Medicare Advantage is probably a whole bunch of dental. They would probably get a whole bunch of free transportation, vision, and over-the-counter benefit, which allows them to get free items that you would normally pick up at like a Walgreens, like toothpaste and bandages and things of that nature. And so they would get a benefit that's pretty large. And even though some plans that are not special needs offer that, the special needs would be much larger than what a standard plan would be. So for example, a standard plan might give you $75 for every 3 months, where a special needs plan might give you $250 a month. So big difference when it comes to those kind of benefits. And you'll find other benefits, thank you, Carolyn, for these types of plans, for the full eligible plan members. They will sometimes have monetary benefits that are given to them. For example, some of the plans currently are giving food cards where they can go to Walmart and pick up groceries So these plans have a lot of benefits that are much richer than your standard plan. And again, another big reason to make sure that if you have a client that you can identify that is eligible for these types of plans, you put them into these plans so that another agent who was out there and talks to them off of the cuff doesn't say, hey, by the way, did you know you can get free groceries? And then you lose a client, right? So we want to make sure that we understand what these are. So we also have your other levels of Medicaid, right? So QMB, which is standard qualified Medicaid beneficiary, you have Slim B. These are going to be considered partial Medicaid, which means that there will be some plans that will still offer zero copays, zero premiums, give you a full platter of rich benefits, but not quite as rich as the FDBE and the QMB Plus. And then you'll have some plans that will allow these members to join those full benefit packages, but they have to pay a premium. Okay, so for example, if I'm a Slim B, if I'm a SLMB, or if that's what it comes back at, and you have a plan in your area for dual eligible, but it's for QMB Plus or FDBE, right? It'll tell you in the summary of benefits, hey, you can still put these people on there, but it might cost them $20 a month to join the plan. But they can enjoy the $3,000 worth of dental benefit that they would not normally get on a standard plan. Okay, so there are reasons to still do that. I would say to begin with, if you guys have questions on that and you run into a client, send me an email or a text and I'll try to walk you through that. It's going to be kind of a learning process when it comes to the partials, but partials probably are going to be the majority of people that you find inside of these populations. The level that you need to have to reach a full Medicaid status is pretty low. You have to be very impoverished, right? So a lot of people, and I would say the standard Social Security benefit right now falls right at the Slim B level. You'll find a lot of clients that are just eligible for just Slim B or QI1, which I haven't touched on yet, right? But those are considered partial Medicaids. And so you'll have to make a decision and you'll talk with your client through that. You know, we can put you on a standard plan that has, you know, this copay structure, or I can put you on this plan that's going to have basically the same copay structure, but you will have the other benefits included. You'll have enhanced dental, you'll have enhanced vision, you'll get free transportation and other things that you probably need because you have a limited income. Okay, and then you have our last two levels. I'm not really going to go too much into QDWI. That just stands for Qualified Disabled Working Individual. You will very, very rarely come into that. And if you do, there's not really any plans that have that qualification. So it's not going to qualify you for anything like a QI1 or a Slim B or a QMB would. It just letting you know that they have Medicaid, but they're working. So now, because they're working, their income is higher than the threshold. So they don't really get any other benefit from that. Okay. So we won't touch too much on QDWI, but we will touch on QI1, which from my experience is probably going to be the largest population of clients that you will run into. Now, I guess I could back up all the way to the beginning of the Medicaid portion of this and say everything except for FBDE stems from a program called the Medicare Savings Program. Okay, what that is a program that was designed to help people pay for their Part B premium. Okay, which we know is $100 and some odd dollars a month. I think right now it's $162. Somewhere in that ballpark, and that can fluctuate a little bit. but in general, it's right about that cost. And so imagine a client who makes, let's say $1,400 a month, and every month they have to spend $160 of that $1,400 on Medicare Part B, just to have health care. The Medicare Savings Program is built for people with that level of income and lower to offset. So the Medicaid comes in and they pay the Part B premium, and then depending on what their poverty level is, and it scales down from that point, is where they fall in this list. So QI1 is the first level of help. So I kind of have this backwards, but I'm going from fuller benefits down to the least amount of benefit on this this slide here. But a QI1 basically means that the Medicaid only pays for their Part B premium. However, in some areas, there are plans that allow QI1 to get full Medicaid benefits in their plan. So no copays for doctors, no copays for hospitals, but you have to be careful and watch in the summary of benefits how it details that. And a lot of times it'll tell you right up front on the plan details if you qualify or not. The reason that I'm going so deep into this for you guys today is because you will not see that differentiation in Sunfire. The only thing that you'll be able to do in Sunfire is look to see what level of Medicaid that they can get or that they have in place, and then you'll have to start doing a little bit more research on your own. Okay, so just to kind of summarize this slide for you guys, excuse me, special needs plans are really good, especially the dual plans. There's going to be a large amount of population that qualifies for this because the standard Social Security payout for those who only get Social Security and basically are getting the minimum benefit qualify for QI1, right? So it qualifies for these plans. So you wouldn't want to shortchange your clients. And what I have also found in my experience in doing this for many, many years is that some clients are confused. When they hear that they have Medicare and Medicaid, they don't realize that they are eligible for so many more benefits, because when they go to the doctor and they pretty much only see their primary doctor, you know, a few times a year, they don't realize that they're missing out on so many other benefits. They don't realize they can get free rides to the pharmacy, to the doctor, to, you know, this, that, the other, and all the other benefits that's available to them. So big thing there is the benefits. Another big thing about this for both the dual and a chronic is not everybody qualifies. So again, that's why you won't find all of these plans on Sunfire. You will see some of the duals there, but you won't see all of the duals, and you definitely won't see the chronic plans because the doctors have to verify that. So when you find these people, and let's talk about that now, what you're going to do. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about how we figure out if people are eligible or not, right? So as that's kind of a highlight of what I already talked about, 9 months out of the year for both chronic and dual plans, you can sign people up. These plans are targeted to help specific populations, and the benefits in these plans are generally a lot richer than a standard plan. And you know, if you don't put somebody on that plan, you have a bigger chance of another agent coming behind you and putting them on these types of plans because they are richer in benefits. So how do we figure this out, right? If you have watched my sales series, I have a 4-page series, right? If you have not seen it, this is how you get to it. You go to, which I have to move this so I can see. You have to go to the Legacy Benefits PoweredAgency.com website. If you have not signed up for that, please do that. I put a lot of resources out there for you guys, and this is how you get to them. Inside of that, and you'll see I've got here, hopefully you guys can see my cursor. This is the main site, you will just go right to the resources tab. Once you hit resources, you'll go into, I think it's all media. You'll see making the sale. Once you hit making the sale, you'll see that I kind of copied their Medicare page 1, Medicare page 2 and 3, page 4, and that's just the first 3. I think there's 60 some odd items I have put out there already for you guys. That page is a great resource for you guys to go to, especially for Medicaid information. I have every state that offers a Medicaid benefit. I have that out there for you guys. The entire 4 pages for the sales system is out there for you guys. All of this stuff is stuff that you guys could just download, right? So if you have a face-to-face with a client, which I always highly recommend, you can have a portfolio built and have it ready to do with your client, okay? So let me show you an example of one of these pages. This comes from the page 2 and 3, right? This is the page 2 part. When you're trying to identify if your client is eligible for these plans, you're not going to really stray away from the sales system too much. What you're going to do is you're going to ask them the same questions. You're going to ask them, who's your primary doctor? How many times a year do you see them? Who are your specialists? Okay, so Dr. Jones, what is his specialty? Well, he does podiatry. Okay, so this is where, as you become more seasoned, you'll be able to I guess, filter better these clients. But podiatry for me is kind of a red flag. Well, I can't really ask them specifically what their medical conditions are, but what I can do is say, you know, Mr. Jones, there are some plans that are offered to people with certain chronic illnesses, like diabetes, for example, right? Now I put diabetes and podiatry together in my mind, right? Because that's a common condition, foot problems, right? Do you think you might be eligible? Do you have any chronic illnesses that we need to talk about, right? Now I can ask that question, but I can't ask them specifically, do you have diabetes? They have to tell me. Okay, so there are a couple of things that you're going to want to ask the client, but this page in page 2 helps you to identify that if you do it correctly. So when you're talking to them about their specialist specifically, if you come across a cardiologist, if you come across podiatrist, neurologist, anything that would probably spark a chronic illness, which would be a major illness, I usually say that right off the rip. You know, Mr. Jones, by the way, there are some plans while we're talking about this for people with chronic illnesses. Do you think you might qualify for one of those, right? And if they say yes, then depending on your area, or where their area is, I should say, you can start investigating what the plans are. And then you can start talking to them about what's available. Now, if they have diabetes and diabetes is not offered, but chronic heart condition is, you can't put a diabetic on a heart condition plan, right? Their condition has to match the chronic plan that's available. But if their condition and the plan matches, most of the time that's going to be the best fit for that client, okay? So one of the ways to identify that is while you're going through page 2. It's very simple. You're going to talk to them about trying to figure out what the best cost-effective way to do this is anyway. So as you're going through the specialist, if you hear any kind of doctor that you're not sure of, right? So let's say that you don't put podiatry with diabetes, right? You didn't catch that. You just say, okay, so let's talk about your specialist. Okay, so you see Dr. Jones for your primary care. What kind of specialist do you have? Okay, so you have cardiologist. You just see him for follow-up. Okay, no problem. You have a podiatrist. Okay, what do you see him for? Well, I've got, I've got diabetes. Oh, okay. By the way, we have chronic plans. Right. So again, if you're not sure as you're talking to them about their specialist, you can always ask them, either how often do you see them? If it's quarterly or more, it's probably because they have a chronic illness. And if it's once a year, it might not be. But either way, I always like to throw that out there as a by the way, right? By the ways never hurt you. Okay. Also, when you go into hospital stays, right? I always ask the client, not upcoming, because they don't know if they'll go to the hospital, but last year, did you spend any days in the hospital? Well, if the answer is yes, okay. Do you mind if I ask you what that was for? Right? Well, I had a stroke. Ding, ding, ding. That might be chronic illness. Or I had congenital heart failure. Oh, okay. Perfect. Let me tell you about these chronic plans we have, right? So a lot of different ways to kind of dig into the client without asking the direct questions, and that'll keep you CMS compliant, right? So that's one of the reasons why I created this document for you guys, is to be able to dig in with the client and find out the full reach of what their benefit availability is without getting in trouble with CMS, okay? Okay, how else can you ask the client if they're eligible for these plans, right? So while we're doing the analysis, like I said, ask a few general questions. Usually that revolves around either their medications, their doctors, or if they've had any hospitalizations or upcoming surgeries. Okay, so when we're doing that page 2, there's a lot of critical information that comes out of that, right? So I highly, even if you're on the phone, I highly recommend you going and grabbing that page 2 off of our website and just filling that out. I promise it will help you every time. Okay. How else can you find? So for specifically the dual eligible population, have you ever applied for any additional help from Social Security, right? That extra help, that packet that you got when you signed up for your original Medicare. Did you fill out that extra little packet for extra help, or have you done that since you joined Medicare? If the answer is yes, great. If not, or if they're unsure, hey, do you mind if I check your Medicaid status, right? Now we can do that in Sunfire. We just type their Social Security right in there, and we're gonna get an answer right back. So if they're LIS or if they're Medicaid, we'll know that right off the bat. And then, oh, by the way, there's a lot of things that we can go through, right? With page 3, we can explain page 4, but now if they're Medicaid, a lot of that information is not necessary because their rules change, right? They're not going to have to worry about a donut hole. They're not going to have to worry about a lot of the other things that a normal client would have to worry about. So if somebody is LIS, I skip page 4 completely, and I talk very briefly about page 3. And what I usually say about page 3 is, look, with my normal clients, I usually kind of give you a 10-year model of what it looks like, but you have a special circumstance. Medicaid is assisting you. So what we're going to do is look at plan benefits, and that will be tied to you, and you will get assistance from Medicaid, right? Or from extra help. So a 10-year plan for you is not going to look like a normal person, and it's going to change dramatically from what a normal cost will be, because your cost will be supplemented by either the state or by Social Security through Medicare. Okay, so finding out earlier on if somebody is dual eligible can help your sales process shorten even further. Okay. Now, if you were going through page 2 of the sales system and you didn't find anything that you thought was weird, right? You didn't recognize any medication, especially if you're newer, right? Like there's a lot of medications I would take right off the bat, like Novolog or Keppra, or anything like that, I would say, oh, this person probably has a chronic illness. But as a newer agent, you might not know these, right? So there's nothing wrong with asking them, have you ever been diagnosed with a chronic illness, so I can check to see if you qualify for a plan that's available in your area, right? So lots of ways to identify these. Now, the tricky part, let me see what else I have on my slide here. Okay, the tricky part, and we're going to do some more training on these, right, is you're going to have to go to the carrier website to do this. Okay, so for example, what do I mean? Let's say you have somebody who you identified as a chronic member, right? And I'll try to give you a great, or the greatest way to understand this. In the area that you're working, right, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 zip codes, maybe 4 or 5. If you're in California, you might have 20, whatever. You're going to have an area, and that area will generally have either some or no special needs plans. They'll almost always have dual eligible, but the chronics could be hit or miss, right? So what I recommend is going to Medicare.gov, right? And I'll type that into the chat here for you guys. I probably should have put it into the slides here. Medicare.gov. Now, Medicare.gov, you'll see lots of different options, but what you're basically going to do is you're going to go into find plans, find health plans. You're going to look at Medicare Advantage plans, and then there'll be an option to look for special needs plans. Now, in Medicare.gov, unlike Sunfire, you can filter that down further into chronic illnesses. And that's how you can very quickly see if there's any available plans in that area. Okay. Otherwise, it's very difficult to find those plans. Okay. Which, one of the reasons that I'm teaching you this is, not only does it allow you to best serve your client with the plan that they should go into, it gives you an edge over, I'm sure you guys have seen the 1-800 call Medicare with Joe Namath and JJ Walker and everybody else, right? They're not going to go that far with your client, right? They're going to look at healthcare.gov or Medicare.gov and boom, done. They're not going to worry about special needs. They're probably way out in Arkansas or somewhere in a call center, right? You are working with clients that you want to start and build and maintain a relationship with. And when you do that, and especially if you dig down this far, you will be able to keep these clients for life. So go to Medicare.gov, find health plans, go into the special needs, and then you should be able to see where you're at. And all you're really doing is putting the zip code in there. That's how you differentiate the areas. You cannot do that for more than one zip code at a time. So my recommendation is, whatever area that you're working, go ahead and take a sneak peek, right? Or before you go into your call with your client or your meeting with your client, go ahead and look to see if there's any available there. And then write down the names of the companies, right? Usually the bigger companies will have them. The Humanas, the Uniteds, the Cignas, sometimes the Aetnas, when we talk about the chronic plans. Most companies will have a dual eligible plan. So you don't necessarily have to worry about checking that out in advance. But on the chronic side, you want to have an idea for the area that you're going to be working, what chronic plans are available. Now, once you find that a client is eligible, you have to enroll chronic members through the carrier portal that you're going to enroll them in. So for example, if you find that somebody is a diabetic and Humana is the company that you're going to put them with, you're going to have to go to the Humana website through their workbench to enroll them. Okay. And so what I'm going to try to set up for you guys over the next few weeks, hopefully I can get this done before open enrollment starts, is I'm going to try to have the carriers come in and train on their platforms, specifically on how to search chronic and dual eligible plans and how to do the enrollments for those. Okay, because I know you have a lot going on, and I know Sunfire is already a big enough thing to try to figure out. But these populations are so large, you really cannot miss these populations. You'd be missing out on way too many people. So, like I said, I'll be trying to coordinate with the carriers to come on and do some training for us. And if nothing else, maybe I'll do some training with them one-on-one and record it and then share it with you guys, either in our chat room, or I'll post it inside of the Legacy website. Okay. So with that being said, I feel like that was probably about 3 days worth of training in about 50 minutes. I'm sure there's lots of questions. We got about 10 more minutes. We can go a little bit past if you guys want to. But if you have questions, go ahead and either type them in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and try to pick through them one by one. Go ahead, Carolyn. Just got to unmute yourself.
I am really new to all of this. Okay. Last year around, I would say October is when I came on and did my AHIP and everything. So my concern is with the carriers from the previous system that we were using. When we went through that issue of signing up with those carriers, doing their contracting, we now have to do that again. They're contracting and everything again for this particular year.
Okay.
Like I was already contacted.
I'll answer that problem. That's a loaded potato of a question. Okay. So normally, and we'll take our current situation out of it for just a second. Normally, every carrier that you're going to be able to write, Humana, United, et cetera, is going to require you to do an annual certification.
Okay.
Okay. So every year as a Medicare agent, you have to do AHIP, and you have to do carrier certification for each carrier that you're going to represent. Okay, that's an annual thing. The only thing that has cost is the AHIP. The carriers allow you to do their certifications for free. Okay. Now, our situation.
Right, bringing it over from one
network over to Spark.
Spark, yes.
Right? If you have already done your carrier certification for 2024, you're good. You only have to do it one time. Okay. So if you did it with network, don't worry about doing it again with Spark. Once you do it with the carrier, you're good to go. Cool. Until the next question.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, I know I came in on the tail end, so a lot of those I didn't even get to till January or February. And I'm like, do I have to literally do these all over again? So, okay.
Well, but let me clarify that too, because Medicare time is weird, right? As a Medicare agent, it takes a couple of years to get used to it. Every July, you're actually looking forward into the next year. So as I'm talking right now, there are certifications that you're seeing that are available for every carrier, right? Okay. If you were a brand new agent right now and you certified, you would be certifying for both 2023 and 2024, because technically you're doing the 2024 certification. If you certified before July, you got to do it again, because you're certifying. Okay. And the reason why that is this: starting October 1st, enrollments can start. Let's put an asterisk to that date, by the way. But starting October 1st, you can start showing the 2024 plans. Okay, so any enrollment that has an activation date or a start date of January 1st or further, you
Mhm.
have to be certified to sell. And so that's why they start allowing you to do your certifications in the middle of the year for the next year.
Okay.
So to answer your question more fully, the certifications that are out right now are for 2024. If you're a brand new agent, you do one and you can still sell for this year and you're good. But really what you're certifying for is next year. If you came on board and you did certifications back in March or May, gonna have to do it again.
Gotcha. That made it very plain. Thank you. I got to get to work.
Okay. What other
Hey,
questions?
Carl, this is Gabriel. Everybody, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. It's Gabriel, CEO of LBA. Just wanted to chime in here real quick and say hello to everybody. Couple quick announcements. Want to remind everybody, whoever gets their AHIP completed, they get appointed with 2 carriers and certified, ready to sell before open enrollment. We're going to be giving you $500 cash money that you're going to receive. That's going to be credited to your account through the Spark platform. So you guys can have that for leads, and you can use it for any lead vendor. We have a ton of options. You can do direct mailers. You could do the live transfer leads with the lead gen company. We've got a ton of options. You can reach out to us and we can give you more details on that. And on top of that, once open enrollment starts, for every client that you enroll, we're going to reinvest $25 on top of your street level commission. You're going to get 100% of that commission paid, which is, I think it's $611 up front. And then you get half of that renewals for life. You're going to, on top of that, get $25 credited to your account that you could reinvest in more leads or whatever you want to use it for to get more clients until you start really getting to a place where you will eventually become a referral business. Okay. Once you're in this business long enough, guess what? Seniors hang out with seniors and they're going to refer you their friends, family, and you're going to have so many clients to see you won't even know what to do with. But the first couple years, the first year in Medicare, it's tough. You got to learn AHIP certifications. Stick with it, guys. Believe me, trust me on this. If you get over that first year, it's going to be one of the best decisions you ever made and one of the best businesses because it pays 50% renewals. There's not very many businesses out there in the United States that offers that. So just wanted to emphasize that. Make sure that you tell your teams, let everybody know in your organization. If you want $500, let us know. We're going to get that. All you got to do is get appointed with the top 2 carriers in your area, and we are going to reinvest that back towards your business. So wanted to emphasize that. The other thing is we're going to be launching, be on the lookout. We're going to be sending messages. We're going to post it on the LBA channel through the Mighty Network. We're going to post it on the Better Facebook page, and we're going to post it on the LBA Messenger channel. Make sure you guys are enrolled in all 3 of those so you can stay up to date. We are getting ready to launch in-person trainings. We're going to be doing Florida, and we're going to be doing Georgia. We're going to be doing California. We're going to be announcing the dates and the location so you guys can actually come in. We're going to have a in-person training where we're going to have our Medicare trainers come in live from Spark, and they're going to spend a few hours with you guys, and they're going to dive into the nuts and bolts and make sure that you leave that training knowing how to use the platform, Sunfire, and how to sign somebody up. It's going to be that simple. So we're going to do boots on ground training. So be on the lookout. We're going to be launching that here very, very soon on the dates. So make sure you plan for that. Okay. Carl, I'll turn it back over. Good luck, everybody.
Awesome.
Good seeing everybody.
Thanks, Gabe. Boy, I tell you what, that $500 is such a big deal. Let me tell you what I would personally do, and you don't have to follow this, but as a seasoned agent, I want to get in front of as many people as I can, right? One of the options is to do seminars. They book the seminars for you. Hello, right? Now, how would I do a seminar? That 4-page presentation that I teach you guys, if you look at page 1, that's an educational seminar. That's all you have to do is go over page 1 as an educational seminar. From there, you could start sitting down with people individually and talking about specific plans. The other thing that you can do even outside of the $500, right? If you enjoy speaking in front of groups, is find out who your local area managers are for each of the companies, your Humanas, your Uniteds, your Aetnas, right? Tell them that you want to do seminars. They will be more than happy to get you in front of people, right? It's free business for you guys. Super, super easy. Now, if you coordinate through an area manager like that, they'll actually have the presentation ready for you. So a lot of companies, what you'll do is you'll get a laptop, you'll push play, there'll be a video that pops up, it'll talk about the whole presentation, and you're going to say, hi, my name's Carl, I'm here for any question that you have. I can sit down with you about this specific company's product. So if you do something like that, you'll be looking at, let's say, Humana. We're going to look at Humana products today, right? And so you won't look at United, you won't look at all the other companies, but that company will put you in front of people. So there are lots of ways to get some free business on top of the $500 that we're going to jumpstart you guys. Okay.
Hey,
So
Carl, I'm going to add one more thing to that. I have a generic presentation that's not product specific to any carrier either. So if you wanted to go in more as an independent broker, you can also do that. And I have a phenomenal presentation that I personally created and have done and know works, that ties in Medicare with even financial planning, both. And it gives you the opportunity for those of you that are licensed on your life side, or you have an insurance practice, this will bring you a ton of sales. So that's something that's proprietary, that for those of you that, if you're appointed, certified, ready to go, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to share that. But you must be fully appointed with LBA, AHIP completed and certified, and I'll be happy to share that with you and show you this huge golden nugget presentation that if you go out there and you do this in front of 25, 30 people in just one seminar, you will make more money than you probably have your whole year in this business. So let me know. I'll be happy to share that. But again, you have to be certified, appointed, and ready to rock and roll.
Gabe, can you throw your email in the chat there?
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you. So those of you that are ears perked up for that, send Gabriel an email, right? Okay, so specific to the training today, the chronic plans, the dual eligible plans. I know it was kind of fast and dirty. This is recorded. We will post this up as soon as Gabriel can get it onto the site. But if there's any other questions right now, anything that you feel like I went a little too fast over or whatever, please go ahead and bring them up now.
I have a question. This
Okay,
is
go ahead,
Beth. Can you hear me?
Beth.
Yeah. When you had that slide with the FDBDs, et cetera, all the Medicaid levels,
Okay.
you met the Medicare Savings Program, which I think is federal. And I'm a little confused between those two.
Okay, so let me get back to this. 1 second. I've got 15
I know.
things open here.
And if anybody needs to leave, guys, that's fine. This is recorded. So we're going to upload this to our YouTube channel. I'm going to put our YouTube channel on the chat box now. If you're not registered to our YouTube channel, make sure you go in there and give us a thumbs up, a like, and you will receive all notifications, all future trainings as well. So you can watch it on demand.
Thanks, Gabe. Okay, so you're talking about this screen here, Beth?
Down in the
Okay.
bottom, it talks about Medicare Savings Program.
Correct.
And,
okay,
and we're
so
talking about Medicaid.
Let me separate this slide for you. LIS is federal. That comes from Social Security. So they dictate whether you get a full or partial, but it really all LIS is. The common name for it is extra help.
Right.
When it comes to Medicaid, all the other ones underneath are Medicaid, except, like it's noted there, FBDE doesn't get initiated by the Medicare Savings Program, right? So when somebody and I did a training on this, it's been months, so I'll have to do another one. But in certain states, we as agents are able to sign people up for Medicaid as well. Okay, so FBDE is not something that we as an agent could sign them up for. It has to come from the state, and it usually comes from either a facility like a hospital or a nursing home or something of that nature, or some kind of social worker has initiated that because of their financial standing. But it doesn't necessarily tie into their financials the way that all of the other Medicaid does. But all of the other Medicaid, the QMB plus, the SLMB, QI1, all that other stuff, the process to apply for that is all the same. You do an application that goes to the state, and the state generates that level of income based on their income. It kicks back that code for you. The FDBE is an exception to that. It is not done that way. It's done from another agency.
Okay,
Does
so
that
is,
understand?
I just want to clarify, when you say Medicare savings program, is that the same as LIS? Extra
No.
help?
No, so the Medicare Savings Program is the formal name for the application. Well, it's the formal name for state assistance, right? So every state has their own version of Medicaid, right? So California is Medi-Cal, Georgia's Peach Care, or something close to that. Florida's Medicaid, but every state has their own version of Medicaid. Okay.
Okay,
But the formal name that CMS recognizes is the Medicare Savings Program. And
okay,
that starts with QI1, which pays the Part B premium. And then there are different levels beyond that based on the need level of the client.
great. So
basically client-
it's state.
Right.
I didn't know. It's the state, it's just a name for the state, Medicaid.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
good.
not something everybody can get. It's the official name that CMS will recognize for Medicaid, even though Medicaid is called different things in different states.
Okay, good. That's good. That's been a confusion, but I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for